So last week we entered the tribulation period and we started reading chapter 6 of Revelation, right? And we saw that the first seal was broken by the one who could break it, the one who was worthy, Jesus, right? The Lamb. He's the only one. And so we saw that first seal was the first horseman, right? The guy on the white horse, right? And we talked about how that's the Antichrist. And why did he have to come out on a white horse? What do we think about when we see white horses and white hats, cowboy hats? The good guys. But that's because he's impersonating. He's imitating Jesus. He's a false Christ, right? So he wanted to look like, because where we say Jesus shows up at the end of the book of Revelation in chapter 19, and he comes in riding on a white horse. So, but he is the true Jesus, right? The true Messiah. So, but this guy, you know he's going to get worse as he comes, but when he first gets here, he starts out by conquering the world through diplomacy and false peace. And he starts out with that whole 7-year peace agreement with Israel. But he's just going to get worse as time goes by. He starts out looking kind of good because he wants to look like the Messiah, right? So the world rejected Jesus, the Messiah, who is truth. So God allows the world to accept the false Messiah, the Antichrist, who is a liar and does not bring true peace. Jesus offers us true peace. Only him. But this Messiah is going to come along and offer everybody just a sense of peace. But it is not real, and it does not last.
And I don't know that I caught this last week, but I was looking at when you're talking chapter 6 just now in verse 4 where it says, its writer was given the power to take peace from earth and to make people kill each other.
That's another writer, right?
Chapter 6.
But was it him?
Wait,
well, yeah.
Wait, maybe I'm reading the wrong one. Sorry.
No, that could be right.
No.
That's the second guy.
I'm reading
That's tonight's horseman.
No wonder I missed that.
Yeah, that's tonight's horseman. Okay. So tonight we're going to look at the last 3 horsemen because there's 4 of them. And we saw the first one last week and talked about what the Antichrist was like. So let's read on. Revelation 6, 3 through 4. That's okay. When we opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, "Come and see." Another horse, fiery red, went out, and it was granted to the one who sat on it to take peace from the earth. So the first guy comes out, peace, 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 right? And he gets everybody under his thumb. The second guy comes out, and he's on the red horse, and he takes the peace from the earth. And that people should kill one another. It's going to get violent. And there was given to him a great sword. So, red is associated with terror and death. And that's what the second horseman is, red, right? So, for example, in Revelation 12:3 and 17:3, red is associated with Satan, the dragon, the beast. That's where you get that little red devil from.
That used to be my handicap on the CB radio.
Oh, you were the red devil?
Because her hair was a lot darker red.
Oh,
my hair was really red.
Oh. Wow. But that's where that whole symbolism came from. But it's a sign of terror and death. Not a good thing. The second horseman is not a good thing. But this is why, because they're associating with this imagery that you see in the book of Revelation.
You know, I'm scared because red's my favorite color, so
You can like red, it's a rainbow.
It's okay. Just don't dress up in this little red devil costume, okay? Okay. So the rider on the red horse was to take peace from the earth. That's his whole job. The one guy came out and gave peace. This guy comes along after and starts taking it away. Mean guy. Your pen okay? Oh, okay. Some of them are not that good. Okay, so true peace between nations or true peace between people is a gift from God. So what the Antichrist offered was not a true peace. It was not what God would offer. God offers us true peace, so we just have to accept it.
Yeah, okay, peace.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I go too fast? We want no more brain rapturing this week, okay? You missed that. Half the ladies' brains raptured last week. School? Or earlier today? Okay, so everybody got this one now? We all caught up? Okay, so John 14:27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. So Jesus is telling us the world's going to try to offer you its peace, the things that make you feel good and calm. You know, go find your safe place. You'll feel good over there in that little corner, eating your Cheerios or playing with your blocks, whatever they have you doing in your safe place. One place had Play-Doh for college students in their safe place where they needed to go find peace. They had Play-Doh and Legos. I think that was just a play session, but okay. But see,
People used to come to my center and sit and play with the flubber and the Play-Doh. They didn't even want to do work. They just wanted to come.
you mean the employees?
Yeah, well, people like the SLP from the school district used to come, and every time she comes, she'd grab a thing of Play-Doh from the classroom.
She just started. She's sticky.
Like,
Kinetic sand's the best.
Mm.
you know how many stinky little hands have been in that Play-Doh?
But anyway, you know, the world is always offering us some form of peace. You know, do this hobby, do this high activity sport, do this, you know, go camping in the woods and get your zen on, whatever. You know, they're always offering you something. This is the way Kathy interprets the world. Yeah. Get your zen on. Go play with your Play-Doh over there. But that peace is so temporary. It might relax you for a few minutes. You might enjoy the sunset on the mountainside. Sure, it feels good, but it is not going to solve the problems that you're experiencing. They say, I should have looked up the percentage because I just heard a blurb about it again today, that we're now like at our highest use of anxiety meds ever. You know, people are on so many anxiety meds. But you know, that didn't used to be the way because we used to have God in our life. We didn't need to be on anxiety pills, right? So, but that's the type of peace they're offering, chemicals.
It's almost not
You know.
even an acceptable answer to people anymore.
Mhm.
You know, like to say, you know, have you tried to pray about this? Have you tried to
Mhm.
pray God for that? It's like, no, I can't even do that.
Right.
I have to have, you know, whatever it is.
Right. They get convinced. So, oh, hey, they're on order. Hey, wow, they're really on order. The Red Horseman has only taken away the false peace. He didn't take away real peace from people. He took away the false peace that the Antichrist in the world has put in place temporarily.
Well, because there's no Holy Spirit there.
No. Yeah. So at this point, this little red devil of a writer, he's come along and he's caused worldwide fighting. Again, everybody's fighting against each other. And it makes me think, be thankful for the peace you have. You know, we live in relative peace here in the United States. I think of it frequently, I've said it before. We can go to bed at night and not be worrying about necessarily somebody attacking us or stealing our stuff or, you know, bombs going off overhead. Other places, it's not that way. They live in a lot of turmoil and stress and anxiety, just wondering if they're going to be okay. So we're very blessed and we need to be grateful to God for the peace He's given us where we're living right now. So let's read about the next horseman in Revelation 6:5-6. When he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come and see." So I looked, and behold, a black horse, and he who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four living creatures saying, "A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius. And do not harm the oil and the wine." So black, that's this horseman's black, is often connected with famine. And see those scales in his hands, that's the weights of measure. You know, when they used to figure out how much you had to pay for something, they'd have sometimes that scale to weigh out what you would get for your money, so to speak, or for your goods that you were trading. So he's representing what's going to happen with like trade and economy and that sort of thing in the world. So let's read how black is used to be associated with famine in Lamentations 4:4-8. The tongue of the infant clings to the roof of its mouth for thirst. The young children ask for bread. Now this was going on in Israel. Okay, this is a flashback. The young children ask for bread, but no one breaks it for them. Those who ate delicacies are desolate in the streets. Those who were brought up in scarlet embrace ash heaps. The punishment of the iniquity of the daughter of my people is greater than the punishment of the sin of Sodom. They did worse than Sodom. That's how bad it was. Yet God was always ever so patient with Israel. But at this point, they're being punished. So, Sodom was overthrown in a moment with no hand to help her. Isn't Israel should be so grateful for what God's done for them. Her Nazarites were brighter than snow and whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies, like sapphire in their appearance. Now, their appearance is blacker than soot. They go unrecognized in the streets. Their skin clings to their bones. It has become as dry as wood. So poverty and starvation have hit Israel as part of their punishment for their wicked deeds that they had done. So it's associated with black poverty and famine. The rider on the black horse hits the world hard, not just by breaking the economy of the common world, but by protecting the wealth of the rich. The wealthy will get wealthier, right? So if you examine worldwide famines, you'll discover that many are caused by politics, not scarcity. It's because of the decisions of leaders that nations end up in poverty situations. So that's why you see in this case, during the tribulation period, wine and oil are in good supply during the tribulation period, because the rich want to still have their special goods, right? But starvation will be worldwide, unlike it is today. Currently, I'll give you some statistics. Currently, 10% of the world population goes to bed hungry. 10%. That's 828 million people who are hungry now. But in the tribulation period, it will be much worse. Inflation will be out of control, and there will be a shortage of food due to the coming judgments, which we'll read about later as we go through this. And it will cost a day's wage, according to verse 6, for a single person's daily grain supply. So just like their bread, let's say, you're going to have whatever their starch is. So in biblical times, that would have been a denarius. But in 2025, our base average daily wage is $130 a day for the average. So it's going to cost you $130 for a piece of bread for you to live on for the day. That's bad. People are really going to be suffering. That's why there's just so much famine and death from it. So we have some modern day examples of that. During the First World War, Germany suspended the gold standard and tried to fund the war through loan debt. Their strategy failed. Their mark, which is like our dollar, was devalued rapidly. A loaf of bread in Berlin that cost around 160 marks at the end of 1922 cost 200 trillion marks by late 1923. So in 1 year, it went from 160 marks to 200 trillion marks. Can you imagine? And in 2016, or even more current example, Venezuela, what a word is that? In Venezuela, the hyperinflation hit as well. The inflation rate reached 9,586% by 2019. So in 3 years, can you imagine a 10,000% we're complaining about 10% we've had over the last, 4 years or whatever it was. They imagine going up almost 10,000%. How horrifying. They were starving down there in Venezuela because they had gone over to that socialist type of dictatorship government that was very corrupt. They still have massive problems down there. So as you can see, when governments make the choices, when political leaders make choices, starvation can happen quite quickly and easily. I mean, we saw our inflation go up pretty relatively fast for us, something we weren't used to, but it can happen, in the end times really quick. So during the tribulation period, people will work for just enough food to sustain one person, and others who cannot work or steal will die. There's going to be a lot of fighting for food. I've always thought about that, saying, you know, people that stock up stuff, you know, they have a stockpile to protect themselves, so to speak. They're actually kind of at risk because people are going to be going after them because they have the stockpile of food. So it may help you, it may not, to have the stockpile. It's going to be a rough place. So, yet things like wine, which can only cause more harm when drunk in excess, will be more affordable and plentiful. Why do you think that would be? One, the rich like to drink their wine, right? Have their good stuff. But
Satan loves people to be confused.
yeah, it's being used against the common people, because what does Satan want? He doesn't want us turning to God. Where are we going to turn to? The easy comfort first. You're going to turn to alcohol, or maybe marijuana is going to be in abundance. Who knows? It's going to be stuff that makes you feel good, and it's going to be in abundant supply. So you're going to turn there first, because I'm going to just numb myself out because I can afford a bottle of wine. I can't afford bread. So then you're just turned away from God even further, and your life gets even worse. So it's just sad.
Your judgment will be clouded.
Yes, your judgment's clouded,
And
yeah.
there's no Holy Spirit here during that time, so
Mhm.
you're really messing with your...
Exactly. It's not going to be a good thing. So the result of an evil world dictator, war, because there's going to be everybody fighting, oh man, and death will lead to much famine in the world.
And Lamentations, I just read that, but when they were suffering and everything, people were eating their children and eating their fathers and their sons. I mean, it was like abominable.
Yeah, it got even worse. Yeah. They were fighting over pigeon dung. Pigeon dung.
Cooking over it.
Yeah. I mean, it was bad. It was about, you read that whole thing, and it's just so sad. God's people had turned on him, and the judgment that came upon him was so sad. And basically, that's what's going on now, because the world has turned its back on God. This is the last chance. He's given them some judgment, his wrath, to make them turn around and say, hey, I need you, God. I'm going to commit my life to you. I'm going to turn my life over to you. So all this fighting and death and famines, what brings on the fourth horseman in Revelation 6, 7 through 8. When he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature saying, come and see. And so I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And the name of him who sat on it was Death, and Hades followed after him. And power was given to them over a fourth of the earth to kill with the sword, with hunger, with death, and by the beasts of the earth. So there's dead bodies laying around. The beasts are going to come out and eat people as well, right? Or you're sick or wounded. The animals are going to show up. This is going to be a horrible place. You don't even want to imagine it. It's just horrible. But over a fourth of the earth killed with sword, hunger, beasts of the earth. That's a lot. The word pale in the Greek is chloros and means pale or ghastly green and speaks of death. It's where we get the word chlorine. So if we think that mass murder, genocide, evil dictators of the world, could bring about such heinous morbidity, how's that word for you tonight, over the years, nothing will compare to the massacre that's going to take place during the tribulation period. It's just going to be all out for self. When everybody's starving and everybody's hurting, they're going to be just at each other's throats. The pale horseman will cause 1/4 of the world to die. The rider is death. They said the rider is death, and he is followed by Hades. Gosh, why are these all out of order? Death claims the body, and Hades claims the soul. That's why Hades is following along. So you're not only losing your life, your soul has been lost as well. So currently, there are 8.1 billion people in the world. Of course, that could have changed again. That was a
1 point what?
8.1 billion people in the world. I think it might be a little bit higher than that. So that means right now 1/4 of the population would be 2 billion people.
Just pre-rapture.
Huh?
How many people, but how many after rapture?
Right, yeah.
But still, it doesn't mean it's okay.
No, I'm just saying, if you just went by what population we had now, because population continues to rise, so who knows. But 2 billion, that is a lot of death. And of course we had the rapture to begin with, right? So if you think about all, the raptured people that have left, how many of us, and then all the death, the world's in a pretty hurting situation. Because you think it's hard when we go to places where there's nobody working your McDonald's, can't check out, right? I mean, all the nurses, doctors, pilots, you name it, gone. Either because they're raptured or because they died. So there's not going to be enough workers for what's needed. So there's going to be a lot of issues because of that as well. You think DMV checkout lines are long now. It's going to be a nightmare there. Oh yeah, Save Mart's had some lines too. It could be worse in there by then. Well, I imagine the shelves would be empty at that point as well. So you wouldn't need to go to Save Mart. Anyway, it's going to be bad. And not to be gross, the disposal of the bodies. There's going to be a problem with that. This is where you can see there's going to be mass burnings, because there's just no way that they can handle all that death all at once. There's just no way. Not going to be a pretty place. So these 4 horsemen are bringing the worst world conditions ever seen. They thought World War II was bad, or, none of that compares. None of it. So Jesus forewarned about this in Matthew 24, 3-14. Now as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" And Jesus answered and said to them, "Take heed that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, saying, 'I am the Christ,' and will deceive many." So the prelude, up to the tribulation. Lots of people pretending to be Jesus. "And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you're not troubled, for all these things must come to pass." So what are we seeing now? Wars and rumors of wars all the time. It just seems to be much more frequent. So it's like, okay, getting closer. "For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in various places." And we've seen an increase in all that, right? All these are the beginning of sorrows. It's the beginning. Just so we could have, the truth is, it sounds horrible during the tribulation period, but we don't know how bad it's going to get leading up to the tribulation. Nobody said it was going to be just like it is now. It could be much, much worse before things take place. But we're seeing all this increase now. "Then they will deliver you up to tribulations." Now this is where you're in the tribulation period. "And kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended, will betray one another, and will hate one another." That's just so sad. "Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many. And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. But he who endures to the end shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come." There's going to be a lot of bad stuff as we approach. And it's going to be even worse when we get there. So in the midst of these 4 world conditions, this is one thing you got to tell yourself. God still sits on his throne. He's the one holding that scroll, controlling fate, so to speak, controlling what's going to happen. He breaks the seals, and he's still there. He's all-powerful. So God reigns forever and will be in full control, for he is Almighty God. Now, I knew this was going to be a quick lesson, but I didn't know it was going to be that quick.
I used to worry too about just growing up is well, what if somebody never got to hear the gospel? If nobody ever got to hear it? And it does say that this will not come to pass until every nation.
Till every Gentile that is supposed to receive him as Lord has received him as Lord. So you can't worry about the ones that are supposed to go. The ones that are accept, they're going to accept. somebody you might know could go into the tribulation period if we're alive when that happens. And that's going to be very sad. That's why it's good for us to witness. We've got to witness to everyone. So next week, we'll find out what happens when we break the 5th seal.